need I do? All yours. If there's anything you need, I am happy to share. Need to see what I'm carrying? A well-built outpost can mean the difference between life and death.
Good day, Captain. How can I be of service, Captain? Human understanding of physics has, until now, shown no indication that such a thing is possible. And yet, we have now encountered two individuals physiologically identical to unique humans we already know, possessing knowledge and technology that it seems improbable for them to otherwise have. It is indeed possible that they are telling the truth, that this unity does exist. More data is required. With every additional mission we complete, that possibility becomes less and less likely, presented with the increasing amount of evidence that corroborates their story. It is likely that the Starborn are telling the truth. Carrying objects is one of my simplest and most useful protocols.
Always a satisfying moment to return to your ship.
Do you need something, Captain? I was just thinking about you. Sure, ask away. I was raised in Hope Town on Polvo. It's a corporate town run by Ron Hope, the CEO of Hope Tech Manufacturing. He likes to sell it as a utopia, a place where workers are provided everything they need for a happy life. But that's a lie. The conditions are awful for the average person in Hope Town. Almost everyone there lives hand to mouth. Hope Tech is a starship manufacturer. They make cargo freighters and other industrial vehicles. Most of them are clunky eyesores, barely suited for grav jumping. But people keep buying them, so Hope Tech keeps making them. I grew up on the edge of poverty, like most working-class people in Hope Town. My parents' wages from Hope Tech barely kept food on the table. For a long time, I couldn't imagine my life any other way. Ron Hope does a good job making sure his workers feel like they're being cared for. It wasn't until I got old enough to start working in the factories myself that I started to understand how bad things really were. It's Ron Hope's fault. He controls everything that happens in Hope Town. Our entire economy is dependent on him. There's nothing stopping him from increasing wages and improving safety in his factories, but he won't do it. Keeping your workforce poor and plying them with cheap liquor at company stores is a good way to keep them around. I think more people would if they had the chance, but Hope Tech makes it almost impossible. They barely make enough to keep the lights on, let alone start a new life outside of Hope Town. That's why I joined the Freestar Rangers. I knew they'd fly me to Aquila for training, and I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life than building starships. I thought being a ranger would be a perfect fit, but it didn't turn out like I was expecting. Boarding the ship to leave Hope Town might be the best thing that happened to me while I was a deputy. In the stories I heard growing up, the Rangers were always described as the ultimate champions of justice in the galaxy. But if you've spent any time in the Freestar Collective, it's obvious that they haven't even made a dent in the problems there. Just look at Neon. Poverty and crime are all over the city, but the Rangers barely bothered to patrol it. Learning that made me reconsider my opinion of them. Why? Because I want the best for the people around me? It isn't my problem that most of the settled systems doesn't seem to share my way of thinking. Hopetown is far from the only place with problems in the Freestar Collective. Leaving Polvo opened my eyes to that. It showed me that Ron Hope's attitude isn't unique. The Freestar Collective is full of people willing to take advantage of others to get what they want. And there are barely any systems in place to stop them. No one to tell them no or punish them for it. That's the downside of the Freestar way of doing things, huh? No social safety nets. It's hard for anyone born into poverty to improve their situation, especially with people like Ron Hope and Benjamin Bayou in power. He's the administrator of Neon. He basically owns the city. I like to say that not a credit gets spent on Volai Alpha that doesn't end up in Bayou's pocket. I feel sorry for anyone who has to grow up there. Polvo was bad, but at least we didn't have violent gangs. I agree that the UC provides more for its citizens, but they aren't perfect either. One look down into the well will show you that. The longer I spent with the Rangers, the more I started to feel like they serve the Freestar Collective's government more than its citizens. I couldn't make peace with the fact that an organization that claimed to stand for freedom and individuality let places like Hopetown exist. Eventually, the hypocrisy was too much. I made the decision to resign and move to the UC. It seemed like people there might share more of my views. There's a reason the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective have never quite seen eye to eye. They do things very differently. The UC provides services like healthcare and job placement for its citizens. Those kind of things don't exist in the Freestar Collective. My opinions about the government's responsibility to its citizens seem to fit better with the UC's way of doing things. It was the right decision, but it wasn't an easy one. My family is still in Hopetown. That was almost enough to keep me from leaving the Freestar Collective. But I had my mind set on finding a better place for all of us. I've been trying to find my parents a way out of Hopetown for years. I thought if I moved to the UC and found out things were better there, they might finally be willing to consider it. I thought I did, at first. New Atlantis is clean and safe, and most of the people there are happy. And it seemed like the government was doing a lot to keep it that way. But my perspective changed after I took an entry-level job with UC Security. They stationed me in the well. I couldn't believe the conditions down there. It made all the UC talk of a perfect society seem like propaganda. The more I started looking around, the more cracks I saw in the whole thing. Their treatment of the Sol system to begin with. It's one of humanity's greatest treasures, and they've let it fall into total disarray. The UC's insistence on maintaining a large and well-equipped military is also a bit off-putting. If they're committed to intergalactic peace, why do they need it? Those are the kinds of questions you almost never hear UC citizens ask. I think that comes down to good marketing on Mast's part. The UC makes a show of promising job placement and housing options to all its citizens. But if those programs exist in the well, there's no sign of them. Most people down there live in the same conditions I saw in Hopetown. There's crime and unemployment, and a lack of good medical care. It's nothing like the rest of New Atlantis. But you'd never know that from the outside, of course. I think the UC government doesn't like people challenging its decisions, or remembering its history in too much detail. Mast did some horrific things during the colony war. They'd rather people forget about them, especially citizens who might start demanding a change. The best way to maintain the status quo is to keep people from examining things closely. Consistent propaganda is a good tool for that. It all seems just a little bit too shiny when you really start to look closely, huh? I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks so. Once the wool fell from my eyes, living in New Atlantis lost its luster. That's when I decided life in the major factions wasn't for me. The problems run too deep. There's corruption and division everywhere, and not enough people are willing to see it. I don't think that will change anytime soon. It seems to me like the only option is starting over, huh? Founding a colony without the influence of massive governments and corporations. Maybe people would be kinder to each other in a place like that. I've always tried to see the best in people. I really believe that the average person wants what's best for everyone around them. I think without the influence of big governments and greedy corporations, people will treat each other better. We won't know until someone tries it, huh? I don't know why that shouldn't be me. I can't just sit around and watch the problems in the settled systems get worse. It's not who I am. But I'm not rushing into anything. If I'm really going to do this, I need to get a better sense of how people live all over the settled systems. That means visiting the major cities and looking at both the good things and the bad. That way, I can decide what things I want to keep and what I am going to leave behind. Good thing I'm working for a captain that likes to travel, huh? We'll hit all the major cities in no time. I get that, Captain. I wouldn't ask you to change your plans for me. You're the boss, huh? Let's talk again soon, huh?
are you, Dusty? Need a hand? I'll see you later.
Missed the sound of my voice, huh?
Your abilities are truly amazing.
land at New Atlantis. Please enjoy your visit to Jemison.
Yes. What? Ever caught a razor derby match? You gotta be a special kind of crazy to compete in that game. The Collective's about opportunity. No hulking bureaucracies bossing you around. Living life how you want. Sure. Got some items worth looking at.
Something I could do for you? Read this slate that said you should get up every 30 minutes so your legs don't fall off or whatever. Who the hell has time for that? I visited Sidonia on Mars a while back. Over 200 years old and looks every day of it. Let me just get my ledger. Got you on comms? All right, just let me get this all down.
Transmission acknowledged. Help you? Well, I've got this one friend who failed the UC citizenship exam. 8 times. I mean, it's hard, but it's not that hard. You've been to New Atlantis, right? Greatest city in the settled systems. System, begin a transaction log.
I think I prefer the wild planets to this city. At least there, the predators are easier to spot.
Yes? Fishing for a handout, eh? Have something for me?
You will be scanned as you enter the city.
Of course the United Colonies
Oh,
is paying
please,
close
take a look.
attention. Yep. And forbid something escape their notice.
For coming in.
You don't need to wear your helmet on this planet. You know that, right?
Not spend as much time here as some of the others, but I appreciate that I was still given my own room.
Hey, I've been talking with the others, and I'd like to get everyone together. To say goodbye. You know, to Barrett. Well, just think about it. If you change your mind, we'll be here. I'll have everything set up in a few days.
Mateo told us about your pilgrim's voyage.
You found it, didn't you? The meaning of unity. What? It can't be.
Our colleague is alive in some alternate dimension? Am I hearing this right?
Let's take a step back. This is everything we've been building towards, and the implications are a lot to take in. Could you explain the part about multiple universes one more time for everyone?
Yes, I wouldn't mind a little more detail.
And that's why the Starborn want the artifacts so desperately. They're the keys to unlocking the infinite.
I don't even want to think about the physiological changes you'd need to travel between universes.
Plus what it would do to the mind? Enlightenment? Or oblivion? Like the Hunter.
You have the opportunity to reach the closest thing to your god that might exist. And you're second-guessing it?
One doesn't approach the afterlife without some trepidation. You're right. This is a lot to take in.
Take some time to process, everyone. We finally have some answers. Now we need to figure out what to do with them.
Not to make a sharp turn in a grand tale, but I got the eye fixed up. Bruised, but still blinking. Let me know when you're ready to follow up on what it's seen.
I've got some stuff on my mind, when you have the time.
These last glimpses from the Eye are from the farthest fringes of known space. Could be the only remaining pieces outside the hands of the Starborn. Aye. The Blackest Sea seems less of a concern when there are sharks leaping out at you. Time in Home's cradle's not a bad idea these days.
To think the Lodge turned into a battlefield. Not at all.
Sorry, I plain forgot what I wanted to talk with you about. girl. If Cora leaves her tools out one more time... I mean, I love her more than life itself, but I can only say the same damn thing so many times. Oh, next time I see her, I'll paste on a smile and ask her ever so nicely to pick them up. Again. I mean, this is between me and you. But Cora wasn't exactly planned. I don't know if I mentioned, but I served a spell in the Freestar Rangers. Had a partner. Lillian Hartz. Well, we were like fire and ice, but, well, it wasn't all bad. Understatement of the century. Hell, when Cora was born, I was completely out of my depth. For the first few months, I kept thinking, what a colossal mistake I made. Me, a father. But one late night, early morning, whatever, little Cora gave me my first smile. And I knew I'd do anything for that girl. Yeah, sure don't feel like it. You said Cora's great, and I think so too. But I see so much of myself in her. I've done things I'm not proud of. Said things even worse. I try to be better for Cora, but is she gonna fall into the same traps? Maybe. When she's older. I know it seems crazy, towing her across the stars, but I'm not exactly swimming with options here. Her mother... Like I said, another story, another time. And what, have her raised by Jacob, my dad? I'd sooner ship her off to Vladimir. I'll think about it. But for now, she's happy. You know, she just goes on and on about you. And if she just learned to pick up after herself, she just might live until she's 13. When you get a moment, can we talk? There needs to be a bigger word than thanks. More than gratitude. And whatever that word is, I feel that way towards you. I'd be dead. Flat out dead if it weren't for you. No. No. Do not blame yourself. This is the Hunter's fault. I gotta ask. Why me? It was an impossible situation. And if it's wrong to ask, sorry, but it's gonna keep me up at night. Barrett's been in Constellation so much longer. He's more veteran, probably smarter. It's gonna be hard knowing I get to live my life, but his is over. That is being honest. For my sake, for Cora's sake. Thank you. How are you holding up? Are you okay? That Hunter bastard's gotta pay. Pay big time. I don't care if he's starborn and indestructible, we need to figure out a way to take him down. Nobody messes with my family like that. Just bring me along when you do. This is personal. I just want you to know, I'm here for you. The only way we're gonna get through this is if we all lean on each other.